Now, there's no question that the Zeiss Rapid Z reticle is the most advanced ballistic reticle there is in the world. And I think that really scares some people. You know, at first glance, it may appear a little confusing, a little bit complicated, but really, it's one of the simplest systems to use. And today I want to show you how to set it up. Now, the first thing we need to know is what kind of scope we have. And in this case, I've got a 4.5 to 14, so I know my maximum magnification is 14 power. And this one's got a Rapid Z 800 in it. Now, this is mounted on a 7mm Remington Magnum. And with that, I'm going to be shooting Hornady Superformance ammunition. Now, I'm shooting a 130 grain GMX bullet here. Now, that's all I need to know before I head to the computer and figure out exactly how to set the reticle up. Come on, let's go to the computer and set it up. Okay, so now that we're at the computer, we're just going to go to zeiss.com/sports. And we're just going to scroll down the page a little bit, and on the left-hand side here, you'll see Rapid Z Calculator. Click on that. And quickly enter in your email address. And your postal code or zip code. And they won't send you a bunch of spam or anything. They just want to know who's using it and where they're from. Now, we've got a couple options once we get to this page. If you're using hand-loaded ammunition, we can obtain bullet reloading data here. Just click on that. It gives the BCs for a wide variety of bullets. The only thing you're going to need to know there is the velocity of the load you're using. In this case, we've got it really easy because we're using factory ammo. So I'm going to click on obtain factory ammo data, and we'll just find the ammo we're using. In this case, Hornady Superformance, show data. And we'll click down here and find the load we're using, the 7mm Ram Mag 139 GMX, update. And that gives us the muzzle velocity of 3190, ballistic coefficient there. So that's, from shooting this rifle quite a bit over chronograph, I know that muzzle velocity is pretty close. If your velocity is different, it's a simple matter to go in and change it, but for mostly, it's really accurate what they give you here. So click on main data form. Now it gives you a bunch of options to change things here. You can see it brought our load over with us. You can change elevation, temperature, angle of incline, sight above the bore. In this case, we are going to sight in for 200 yards. Typically, you're best to sight in for 200 yards. I'm going to leave everything else as is, but it's very easy to change, and it will change how you have to set your scope up, and it really depends where you are. And that's the great thing about the scope is if we change elevations, change temperatures, it's really easy just to go to the computer and see what the difference is. Now we're going to submit this data. And okay, we've got it all there. Now what we want to do is get the reticle analysis form, and this is going to tell us how to set our reticle up. So in this case, I know my maximum power is 14 because that's the scope I'm using. Sight in distance is 200 yards. I'm using a Rapid Z 800. And in this case, I usually pick somewhere about the middle. I want bar number 6 to be exactly 600 yards. So what I'm going to do is hit optimize power. Now what this is going to tell me is for this scope to work perfectly, so 300 is 300, 400 is 401, 500 is 500, you can see how those are all perfectly aligned with the bars. And that's the great thing about the Rapid Z system is each of the hash marks is yardage indicated, and you'll get those exact yardages by adjusting your power. So in this case, what we're going to have to do is use the scope at 13.22 power. And I can use the primary reticle, the one that's sighted in at 200 yards at virtually any power. The 0 will not change. But to use the secondary reticles to get these exact yardages here, I have to have the scope set on 13.22. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the range. I know if I only have a 100-yard range, then I need to be 0.95 of an inch high at 100 yards. I prefer to sight in at 200 yards, but if you only have a 100-yard range, it does give you that information here. So let's go to the range and see what we got. Now we've gone to the range and I started at 100 yards and there's my first 3-shot group. So that's all around just under that 1 inch high. So remember, we needed to be 0.95 of an inch high at 100 yards. So what I did is I moved back to 200 yards, took 3 more shots, and you can see it's bang on. So now I've got that 200 yard 0, which is exactly what I needed. And if I run my scope at 13.22 power, all of those secondary hash marks represent the yardage that they're indicated as. Really simple to set up. At first glance it appears complicated, but it couldn't be simpler. Now it's just a matter of going out and doing some long range shooting.